What episode are we on? Is it 4? Because I missed the last one.
Well, yeah, 4. Because did you listen to episode 3?
Yes, I did. Remember, I was like, oh, there's some things that need to be corrected on that one.
You want to get into those? Make your little corrections?
I've actually forgotten what they were, but so I don't really know. I know there was the one thing where you said that there was I said that there was no pirate party in Canada, and if you actually listen back to it, basically I was saying something, then you had mentioned, do you have it? And I was sort of stumbling around. I was like, no, well, not that I know of. It's because you had said something to interrupt me. So it sounded like I was saying that there was none, but technically I was not. And then there was something else, I believe, about Quebec. But you know what? That's fine. We can leave Quebec out of this. It's just Quebec.
Well, I did look up what the hell the Quebec bloc actually wants. I was like, oh, okay. They want to make Quebec an independent country.
See, that's actually strange to me because we don't hear too much about that anymore.
Because when I was growing up, I always, anytime you talk about Canada, it was like, oh, you know, the French Canadians don't like the English Canadians.
Yeah, there was a bit of that, yeah.
Because I guess that's all done now.
Well, I don't know if I would say that it's done, but it's
dying down.
I don't know. I guess you would kind of equate it to like racism in a way. It is technically racism. You know, the French is a race. You know, they're both technically Caucasian, but. Well, kind of.
No, Caucasian is the name of the race.
Well, sure, but race, see, that's the thing, is race is not a static black and white line.
Of an ethnicity.
If it's completely an ethnicity, then why are there physical differences in appearance?
Oh, maybe for you, but if I saw two different people, if I saw a Quebecian in Ottawa, or an Ontarian, right? I guess that's what you call someone from Ontario? Ontarian?
I guess, yeah, but there's a
little bit more. Two of them, I wouldn't see any difference.
Well, like I said, there's a bit of an overlap there because we do have a lot of French in Ontario as well. I think a better example would probably be the other side of Canada, like
British Columbia.
British Columbia. You know, the French do have a particular, there is a particular look. There are different attributes, different traits that you can kind of say, okay, that person has, you know, some French. So race is not it's not a black and white line. You know, if you think of things that way, then, you know, even if you want to get into stuff like evolution, evolution makes no sense because there are no clear lines. It's a gradual change from one thing to another. We create these constructs. We create these racial lines or these species lines just for the sake of categorization. So technically, if you really want to get down to it, you know, with a fine-tooth comb, you know, French, you know, the French people is, yeah, there's an ethnicity about it, but there are physical differences between, we'll say, a French person and maybe, say, an English person. You can see a difference, even if it's subtle, within their appearance. I just went on a rant about French people.
This is the deepest conversation we've ever started with. It's such a serious episode.
I'm like, pity I'm going to be cutting this out because we haven't even done our intro yet.
Oh, no, that was the intro.
No, I don't think that classifies as an intro. All right. Well, anyways, if this happens to stay in, then I guess it's about time that we introduce ourselves. So, hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Younger Scrolls. My name is Jason, and I am joined with
Brian from Azrael Enterprise.
And we are the worst podcasters out there. Run for your lives.
No. There's got to be somebody worse than us.
Okay. We're the second worst.
Next month we'll be the third worst.
Yeah. See, that's it. That's one thing you can look forward to, though, is that we're on the up. We are improving all the time.
Yeah. All right. So Christmas happened like weeks ago.
No way, really?
You got a PC for Christmas?
Yes, I technically did.
Who bought it for you?
My brother. As many people will know, my computer was basically dying, and it's been dying for a long time. It's like many times I wanted to take it out back with it, you know, and just shoot it. But since it was all I had, I really couldn't do that.
Oh yeah, because the last episode I said we're gonna have to give it its last rites.
Yes, that's right. I remember that.
And that was why you couldn't record.
I don't think that was the reason I could.
You had
It was part of the reason, I think, in some way.
It's like just today you were telling that your schedule is full and it's overflowing and you're a week behind on everything.
Yeah, exactly. But anyways, he decided that he was going to do something about that and help me out because I've been saving up for such a long time. I don't make a whole lot of money, so I was up to maybe about, I think, $100 by the time that came around. So I was on my way to get that computer, but he decided he had an old case lying around. He went and bought a motherboard. There's obviously some used parts in here. Because he doesn't make a ton of money either, but I got myself a decent system that's actually better than what was in the laptop. So yeah, big thanks, Derek. Whoa.
So technically speaking, it's not a brand. It's all homebrewed.
Oh yeah, that's what I would want to do anyways. Would be buy the individual components and put the computer together myself, which is what I did basically. But
what was your laptop brand?
That was a Dell. It was a Dell XPS, and that computer was hell. From the day I got it, I actually had to send it back to them to have them repair it 4 times. And then eventually it ran out of warranty, and then I contacted them again, and they were like, well, it's no longer in warranty, so you're screwed. And in that time, I tried to get it, replaced or something, and they were like, no, we're not going to do anything about that. Even after admitting that particular model had a known defect with its motherboard. They told me this, and I'm like, so why did you sell it to me? Why are you still selling it? And I was just like, oh, I don't know.
Because we can.
Yeah, pretty much, exactly. Yeah, there we go. So yeah, I got myself a new system with a nice beefy Core i7 in it. He hooked me up with 32 gigabytes of RAM, which for video editing is a lot nicer than what I had before.
How much RAM?
So 32 gigabytes.
I have no clue what's on my computer.
No, well,
I just know I don't like this thing.
Well, I'd say most computers, if you did you build it yourself or did you just buy it?
No, I've had this is like the second or third year I've had it.
Okay, and did you buy it or did you build it, or is it a laptop?
It was a present.
Okay, yeah, most.
It's Windows 10 is why I'm not liking it, because now my computer's not strong enough to support Windows 10.
Huh, that's kind of strange.
And my computer constantly keeps crashing.
So, well, I'll say the average computer when you buy it, depending on, it tends to range from 4 to 8 gigabytes. Some places will still give you 2, which is absolutely terrible, but that tends to be it. So having 32 is a significant, holy crap. I could load an entire game into RAM and just play from my RAM. So who needs solid state drives? Which I've got one of those too.
I want a terabyte of RAM.
A terabyte of RAM.
I'll never have to worry about it for the next 10 years.
I think probably more than that, because a terabyte of RAM would be insane. We would probably have advancements in technology that would make newer RAM faster and just better overall before we reach the terabyte. So by the time we reach terabyte with the other tech, it'll have absolutely made yours obsolete.
Yeah, I figure in a year my computer's gonna be obsolete.
From the sounds of it, it's already obsolete.
I mean, it still works. I just can't have more than 20 tabs open.
I think that's part of your problem. You have 20 tabs open?
Well, currently I have 2. I have currently 10 tabs.
I've got quite a few on my laptop, but I actually start to get annoyed when I have more than 5. 5's about my cutoff. I'm like, if I've got more than 5 tabs, I'm like, no, something needs to be closed.
No, I'm the opposite, because I got all these different things open because they're all different things I'm working on.
Yeah, me too. That's why I tend to be okay, I'm just going to bookmark this. I'll open it up again later when I need it.
No, it looks weird to me if there's only one thing open. So all you got for Christmas was the PC? Or is that the only thing you want to share?
No, that's actually pretty much, that's about it. Things were tight. So it was focus on the kid kind of Christmas. So, yep.
Is it? All right, well, I got furniture.
Hey, nice.
That's it. I got furniture and a TV. So
cool.
I've had the TV I've had for the last couple of years is monstrous. Where it's the giant box.
Oh, okay.
Finally got rid of that, and now I have a flat screen. They've been out for 10 years, and I'm just getting my first flat screen.
No, that's fine. I'd gotten a really crummy. Oh, no, actually, I had one. Well, define flat screen. How flat are we talking here?
It's only a half-inch thick. Is that not flat enough for you?
No, I was thinking, I'm
you guys use metric.
No, that's fine. I get, a half an inch. I'm guessing it's probably closer to No, it's not 3 millimeters. Millimeters is where you start to. Yeah, millimeters is very small. We're talking like centimeters. It's about a centimeter. I would say it would be about half an inch type thing, which is actually very flat. That's flatter than any of the TVs I have in my house. So you have
and it's
the
a
flattest. Samsung. So it's either going to spy on you or burst into flames.
Oh, I prefer neither.
Well, I hope neither happens.
The weird thing is the power button is on the bottom. I don't know why, and I don't know why the speakers are in the back.
Well, I suppose it could kind of make sense having the way I'm thinking is, especially with something that thin, if you're not going to have like some fairly, we'll say, powerful or beefy speakers, what I'm wondering is with a lot of flat screens, they tend to have them right up against the wall or close to the wall or maybe mounted. So I'm wondering having rear-facing speakers allows the sound to sort of bounce off the wall and create kind of a, I don't know.
So it amplifies off the wall.
Yeah.
But the problem is, for me, it's not on the wall. I have it halfway on the table, the countertop, because I have the gaming consoles behind it. So all the gaming consoles are actually hiding behind the TV.
They're shy. It's okay.
Because I got the 360s behind it, and then the Xbox One is on the opposite side.
Okay.
But when I get the TV, I hook the 360 up, I'm going, oh, crap. I got to play Minecraft in black and white?
What?
Because I don't have the right cables?
Black and white.
Because I had the 3 little plugs that are, what are they, yellow, red, white, yellow?
Yeah.
This TV doesn't recognize that because now it uses 5 wires.
Yeah. I've had something similar happen. The TV I have currently down in my basement is kind of the same setup. It's got a lot of plugs. You might have your video on the wrong setting. Because I had the same sort of thing happen to me. I plugged in my GameCube and everything was black and white. But that was because it was trying to, I can't remember if it was trying to read as composite or whatever, but if I hit TV video, and even though the video was going into the same plug, it was able to switch over and read the video correctly. So it's possible that maybe there's a setting on your TV, like you can change the video input and it'll detect it correctly. Or there might be another plug on the back, because I still think that's pretty standard, is having the standard those three colors. I could be wrong, but I had something like that happen with my TV, so I'm thinking maybe there might be some hope for you.
I go and talk to my brother, and he gives me HD 360 wires. I plugged them in. I was like, oh, I got color, but it's a little off. And then I went and bought HDMI cable for it. Now I don't know.
There we go.
I'm walking through work and went, oh crap, we sell HDMI cables? I had ordered on Amazon on Cyber Monday. I ordered an Xbox One S 2 terabyte, and it never showed up.
Never showed up because they're on back order till February. Oh, dang.
And so I had to cancel it because I was like, I've been waiting over the 3rd of January, and I still haven't received it. And I'm like, I'm canceling this order. I looked around. Microsoft doesn't even have any for sale. So I'm like, damn it, I have to find a 1 terabyte console. So I got the Battlefield 1 version.
Okay.
I have a dark olive green controller now. I do like the slim controller. It doesn't feel like a huge difference when you're switching, because I'll play both the 360 and the one in the same day. So it doesn't feel like it's a huge difference switching between both controllers. It's a nice natural change.
Awesome. I'm still using the 360 controller, but
which controller?
Oh wait, yeah, you basically just made that comparison. I'm still using the 360 controller on my PC. I actually find the 360 controller to be immensely more comfortable than well, I haven't tried the what do they call them, the DualShock 4, but as far as like compared against the PS3 controller, it is definitely a lot more comfortable. But hey, my PS3 didn't red ring, so I'm still
I've never heard of that happening on a PS.
Well, actually, it actually technically it did. My first PS3 got the yellow light of death. It's not a red ring; it's a yellow light. No, it's a thing. Look it up. It seems that the PS3 held together longer than the 360, so people only started discovering the overheating later on in its life. You go ahead and look it up, yellow light of death for the PS3, and you'll notice that some of them. It was the same reason the 360 on launch had a lot of deaths. Some of the older PS3s are now suffering that same fate. So you said Battlefield 1. How is that?
Well, it's an interesting concept for their campaign because it's not one campaign. It's 6 of them.
Oh.
And one is like 4 levels, another one's 5. They shift levels, so you're all over World War One. And the last one you get to is about Lawrence of Arabia. As I'm playing it, I'm going, they should have just made this the game. I don't care about the random German guy I was playing as or the Italian guy. This is the one this is the awesome level. They should have just made the entire, it should have been Battlefield, Lawrence of Arabia. That should have been the entire campaign. However, you don't even get to play as Lawrence. You play as some Turkish girl who's really, she's like his second in command. And the multiplayer just reminds me of Call of Duty World at War.
Okay, I haven't played that one, so maybe would you be able to go into a little bit more detail as to what that's like? Is it
or the first 3 Call of Duty games, because it's a World War.
I played the first Call of Duty, and then I didn't play really. Well, actually, I didn't even play all the way through it. So, and that was when it first came out. So, admittedly, my memory's a little bit hazy on that.
Yeah, so you played it on PC?
Yes, when the original Call of, when it first came out.
It's not bad. It's a little weird because you don't unlock weapons when you level up. You get war bonds, and then you have to spend those war bonds to buy the weapons that have unlocked. That's the part I don't like about multiplayer.
So weapons are still unlocking, but you can't actually use them until you've bought them, basically?
Yeah, because if I make the wrong purchase and buy a gun that I'm bad with, I have to wait another level or 2 before I get money to buy a gun that I'm going to be better with. Or if I decide, hey, I want to buy another sniper rifle, and then realize you can't snipe in half the levels, or I'm really bad at it because it's bolt action. So now I don't have the right gun for the medic.
Okay, yeah, that's a system I've both liked and disliked. A lot of the Call of Duties, with the whole unlock thing, it's kind of bothered me a bit because like you said, I just want something that's good. For me, you might go a little while, you unlock something, you're like, cool, you try it out, and you're disappointed. But on the other hand, it's like I've liked that because there's that sense of progression. But then obviously, like I just said, I didn't like it for some reasons. I think what actually works, what I like is the way Counter-Strike does it, where you get the money and you're getting the guns, but it's on each round. So you're still getting that sense of, okay, I can buy myself a decent gun, and you can kind of choose whichever gun you like, and you can kind of just sort of aim for that one. I don't know, but some people really need
paced reward system.
Well, kind of. It's not even really it's not entirely even a reward system. Like you go through your first round, and then after that round is over, which is a max of 3 minutes.
Oh, what, Counter-Strike?
Yeah, on Counter-Strike.
I've played Counter-Strike once, and I think we went to 10 minutes.
That's not a standard or a typical round. You might have been on a server where they decided to mix things up, but yeah, 3 minutes tops is a typical round length.
Yeah, because then I played it again at a LAN place, and it's the first and last time I've ever seen one of those, because I don't think they are around anymore. But went in there, and I getting my rear end spanked, and then suddenly I just turned the corner and stabbed somebody in the throat. And it was, oh my god, you got killed by the noob!
Yeah, well, we might see some more, we'll say, like LAN parties and stuff with the Switch, because that's actually one of the big selling points for it was that you can connect up to 8 on local area networks. So that'll be kind of cool. I miss LAN. Used to have LAN parties all the time. I remember
I used to do them with the 360.
I used to do it with the original Xbox. Halo, man. The original Halo, and then after that, Halo 2. We used to get a bunch of TVs together, a bunch of Xboxes, and just go nuts. And
actually,
then live.
One of my friends he had a party one night, and you go into the basement, there's a keg and 2 360s hooked up. We're just sitting there drinking and playing Halo. That was fun. Because at one point we were playing online, and it was like, oh, you just got beat by a bunch of drunk people. But did you hear about Scalebound?
I've heard the name. I have absolutely no idea what it is.
So I know we discussed that, you don't like pre-ordering.
Nope.
So I pre-ordered Scalebound, and I had to cancel it because they canceled the game.
Wait, I think I remember something about this now. Wasn't this Microsoft? Microsoft was involved, right?
Yeah.
Yes, I remember hearing a bit about this now.
It's a RPG where your ally is a giant dragon. You get to have a dragon as your teammate.
Or you would have.
Yeah, and they canceled it. And I'm like, jerks. I don't know why they canceled it, but they stopped it. So I'm like, great. The one time I pre-buy one, they canceled it. I think that's the last time I ever will.
Well, I guess it's I'm trying to think about like where did you pre-order it from?
Amazon.
Okay. Because I'm thinking like I'm pretty sure when like for EB Games, for instance, that tends to be the only place I've. Well, no, I have pre-ordered things before. It's just been such a long time. I don't even remember when. But like EB Games, one thing I'm always hesitant about with them is, if I do go ahead and pre-order, against my better judgment, they don't tend to give refunds. They tend to give you store credit. And I don't like that. So I think I would have been annoyed had I, pre-ordered.
GameStop does the exact same thing as far as I know.
Well, yeah, it's basically the same company. It's just in Canada, we've held on to the EB Games name.
It's a different brand. Or sister company, I guess you call it.
I think it's basically just different branding. There are some companies that they're essentially the same thing. It's just they use a different name depending on what side of the border they're on. Because we're very close, but Canadian and we'll say like American culture is very different. It's very interesting to see how things are marketed towards Americans versus how they're marketed towards Canadians. A simple example is I haven't been able to find them up here for ages, but you guys have this cracker down there, Cheez-Its or something, Cheese Nips, stuff like that. And I find a lot of the boxes, they tend to be very flashy. They're like, blam, there's all this information. It's very sort of eye-catching. And when I go to, like, say, through our grocery store or our Walmart, and I see those same kind of products, and I'm able to compare them, ours look very almost minimalist. They're very simple. There's not as much of that, in-your-face kind of feel. And it's a very different thing. And I think that even changing your name can have a big impact on how your brand is perceived, depending on which country you're in.
I think that's interesting. I never thought about the how like a package of Rice Krispies will look in Canada.
Yeah, there can be just differences in the way, like, for example, like the boxes are designed. Because
you know who Snap, Crackle, and Pop are?
Yes, I know who Snap, Crackle, and Pop are.
Are they on the box?
They are on the box.
That would have been funny if they weren't.
but they might be doing, we'll say, for instance, they might be doing different things, or they might have different, facial expressions. Like, here's an example. Kirby, Kirby, the little pink fluff ball from Nintendo. You look at a lot of his box art
I know
in
that's
Japan.
who you were talking about, but when you said Kirby, I'm thinking of a wrestler.
Which is why I had to emphasize here, in case everyone's like, oh yeah, the wrestler. But anyways, in Japan, you look at his box art and he looks very happy. He looks like he's having a great time. But when they brought those games over to North America, Kirby tends to have this very angry look, like he's a man on a mission and he's going to like defeat the enemy. Go ahead and you look it up online. There's side-by-side comparisons of the same box, the Japanese art and the American box. And it goes to show, we'll say, the difference in marketing, that Americans want to see someone who's more, we'll say, aggressive, who's a little bit more, got an angry look to him, versus Japan, who tends to like more the cutesy and more, happy-go-lucky thing to it.
One of the things, though, if the character looks extremely happy, then it must be for children.
Exactly.
If it's serious, then it's for adults.
Exactly. Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it, I think.
That's the problem. That's why Steve from Minecraft carries a sword, because swords are for adults. But he's smiling, so it's for everybody.
A smiling man with a sword. No, that's just for like psychopaths. Most of the stuff I've listened to lately has been video game music. Now that I'm thinking about it, I'm like, it's video game soundtracks. There hasn't been a lot of stuff that's released that I've really liked. Well, with the exception of like some stuff that's a little bit more maybe out there, like Amaranth, Nightwish, so maybe some gothic bands and stuff. But other than that, not so much.
You listen to Typo Negative?
No.
Why not?
You said Typo Negative?
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like it. It's if I'm remembering the band, because I know so many different bands here. If I'm remembering correctly, you're saying that because I mentioned goth, right?
Yeah.
The interesting thing is the goth has almost like subgenres within it, and I like gothic, but then when there's these there's the like dark, but then there's also like almost just kind of droning, and there's almost a raw and I don't know, unappealing sound. Like it sounds unrefined in a way. It kind of, I don't know, it just doesn't interest me. It's maybe overly aggressive, which is really weird because I tend to like stuff like death metal and stuff. I don't know. It's just never clicked for me.
Well, Typo Negative is the only band like that I've ever listened to. I never got to gothic metal or other doom metal bands.
Well, see, that's the thing is, it doesn't even have to be metal. Like I like
Acacia string.
no, I'm thinking I can't remember. I know one right now that I'm thinking is one I like is like the Birthday Massacre. And it is the Birthday Massacre. It's a female fronted band, and I love it because it's like got two different sounds that are kind of clashing with each other. You've got this this gothic kind of a dark feel, but it's almost got like a happy tone to it. So you got this happy and this dark that are kind of fighting with each other, and it gives us like this really weird sound. And there's a lot of like synth stuff in there, so it's kind of like a very strong melody to it. So it's gothic, but it's not. I wouldn't classify it as like a gothic metal. Yeah, I think that because I've had this conversation with other people. Actually, I've talked with I've said, oh yeah, I like gothic, and they're like, oh, I like this and this, and I can't remember it anymore. I checked out the bands when they were recommended to me. Actually, I think I mentioned it on Twitter, and you had given me a suggestion, and I had checked it out.
Pale Horse Named Death.
Yeah, and basically all the suggestions I got were all like gothic metal, and I'm like, well, there's other goth too. There's there's goth rock. There's
but did you look up
goth synth pop? Sorry,
did you listen to Pale Horse Named Death?
I'm pretty sure I did. I sampled a bit of everything that people had recommended to me, and
because Peter from Type O Negative dies, and so then splits up into two different groups, and one of them is a Pale Horse Named Death.
Okay.
So it's kind of got that doom feel to it, but a little more punk sound. In some of the songs, there's a punk sound to it.
I'll have to go back and try to maybe give it another listen. But yeah, it's just because we'll say you might like one band within a particular genre, or something, that doesn't mean you like them all. It's like there's very very fine taste. Anything that can kind of sound generic or sort of bland over time. I'm not saying that that's what this is, like what you're recommending is, but I tend to be. I've listened to so much music. I've gotten like such a collection of music and stuff like that over the years that I've become very, very picky with what I'm going to I don't want to say waste my time with. I'm going to we'll say occupy my time with.
I was going to say spend your time with.
There we go.
I'm like that now. I pretty much listen to nothing but alternative music, and I'm picky on that. Or I like this song, but I'm not listening to the rest of the album because I don't care.
Yeah, that happens too often, where it's like, oh, this is a good song, and then you like listen to the rest of the band, and you're like, oh,
and it's
that was their one hit. That was their
that's what you call a party song.
I haven't heard that term before. I guess it works.
That Iron Maiden could just write this one song that's poppy and catchy, and that becomes their biggest single, and the rest of it is hard metal because that's their party song.
Huh? Is that a common term there?
Yeah, pretty much.
Huh. Oh, okay. I've never heard it, so cool. Party songs. So are you like do you like power metal?
Not anymore.
That kind of no, not anymore. Okay.
I don't listen to metal anymore.
That's okay. You said you mostly listen to alternative. I wasn't sure if you still dabbled in other genres. Okay.
I think I was gonna say like the only metal band I listen to is Mastodon, but I listen to like 4 songs from them, and that's it. I used to be really huge into Black Sabbath, which I don't care about them anymore.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember like the last sort of metal thing I listened to. I think I'd have to go with probably what I mentioned earlier. What's the name of the band? Amenreth, I think, and Nightwish are probably no. I think it's called Amenreth. It's some.
You don't
weird
listen to Anvil?
Name. No, I don't. I'll give some examples. What's some crap I listen to? Sinbreed, Blind Guardian, Megadeth. I like Megadeth.
Did you hear the new album?
Which one was it? The Dystopia?
I have no idea, but I know they put an album out in the last year.
Yes, that would be Dystopia. Yeah, I liked it. It wasn't. It was good. It was good, but it wasn't. We'll say my favorite of theirs.
The last Megadeth album I bought was Cryptic Writings.
Wait a minute, Cryptic Writings.
That was from like '96.
Oh, that was not a good time to get into Megadeth.
No, that's the album I like the most.
Oh, okay.
Because it was.
Okay.
I like the variety. I don't like it where, like a Ramones album, every song is the exact same. Or AC/DC, it's the same thing every song.
That's interesting because I feel that around that period, that's when things started to sound a lot like, they started to sound alike to me. Whereas a lot of the earlier stuff from Megadeth, I find that I can easily distinguish between different tracks. And I'm wondering if that's maybe the way. I don't know. I'm just hypothesizing here. Maybe the brain, the way it categorizes things, that eventually things just start, you pick up on the patterns, or maybe people pick up on different types of patterns, and as such it gives different songs a different type, a different sort of sense of sameness to them. Or maybe I'm overthinking things, but
Sameness.
yeah, because I found around that time, that's when they started to sound like all the songs just kind of sounded and generic. And I feel like a lot of bands going after the 2000s hit, that's when I found a lot of bands just started to sound the same song to song. Yeah, I don't know. That's interesting, because I feel completely the opposite way. So obviously, I'm not going to say you're wrong. I'm going to say, well, what is the difference in the way that we're processing the same information?
Well, I can say that the 2000s, the only good band that come out of it was Godsmack, and then nothing till like 2015 was a good band.
Godsmack, 2000. What was I listening to? Oh, dang. Okay, let's go back.
Their first album was 2001, I think.
Let's see. What was I listening to? That was what, high schoolish for me, I want to say. What was I listening to? I was listening to let's see, stuff like 1,000 Foot Crutch, Disturbed.
My brother liked them.
Yeah, I still like Disturbed. Actually, I like them better now than the way they were back then. I actually find David Draymond's voice to be just. I love his voice. The way he can go from sounding, it's like got this sort of gentle quality to it when he's singing softly, and then it can just like it just turns into like this demon when he just starts bringing up the grit. And that's actually part of the reason why I like Disturbed, is I just really like his voice. It was interesting because it had all these different religious symbols on the front. I actually thought it looked really cool, but yeah.
Did you ever listen to Cradle of Filth?
No.
Don't. They're horrible. Is that I think is like as close as I ever got to black metal. The first single off the Disturbed second album is called Prayer.
Yeah.
Second single is Remember, and third was Liberate.
Yep. Prayer is another fun example of sort of a sarcastic kind of. I don't want to say sarcastic. Almost say it's like I said, it's an anti-religious song. Basically, it's the whole song is about. Let me see. I'm trying to remember how the song goes. This is how I pray. Take everything away. Living my life is not hard enough. Take everything away. So basically, it's kind of like one of these things where, like, you know what, life's too easy. Just go ahead, take everything away. It's almost kind of like a praying for everything to be bad, or why is everything going bad? So I'm just going to go ahead and pray for it, kind of thing. It's actually I did a very poor job just now explaining what the song is about, and it's totally off. But it's a very cynical kind of negative sort of take on praying. But yeah, I actually am running a little bit short on time, so if there's any topics we want to jump into, we should switch gears over to those.
Yeah, well, Elder Scrolls 5, Elder Scrolls 6, I mean.
All right, Elder Scrolls 6.
Because we have to talk about the Elder Scrolls at some point.
That's right, we've got to mention it, and I think we've just mentioned it.
Yeah. So there's going to be a link in the description for anyone that wants to go check this T-shirt out for the Elder Scrolls 6 Argonia, or if you want to buy it. I don't know why you'd want to buy a speculation T-shirt.
Yeah, because it's a completely unofficial shirt. It's
There's also going to be a link to go watch a video by ESO who discusses Morrowind is coming to the Elder Scrolls Online.
Okay, so
it's going to be DLC.
Okay, oh, that's
You're
interesting.
Be able to explore the Red Mountain.
Nice.
Because he also does explain why we will never get Morrowind on the Xbox One.
Wait. When he says Morrowind, does he mean Morrowind for ESO, or does he just mean Morrowind?
The game. He explains why the game will never be on the Xbox One.
Oh, okay. Well, it's a dated game, a dated engine, and dated interface.
Yeah.
I'm not too surprised about that.
And why we'll never get remastered version, but if you play Elder Scrolls Online, you could be able to go actually walk into the region of Morrowind and go explore the Red Mountain.
Now, if I'm remembering correctly, ESO, that took place during the second era, so that's quite a bit in the past. Would Red Mountain still be active at that time? Because technically, if
online takes place just after it exploded.
Okay, so yeah, it had exploded, because I was thinking even in Arena, I remember while I was in Morrowind, if you can still consider Arena to be canon, which I do, if you actually looked in the direction of Red Mountain, you would actually see the volcano currently exploding. So
I thought that was actually really interesting that they did that.
I actually really liked that you know, the far off scenery, depending on where you were on the map in Arena, you could look in that direction, you know, compass wise, and actually see those major landmarks. So I count Arena as canon. A lot of I think a lot of what happened in ESO and later games kind of retconned a little bit of that. But as far as I'm concerned, Red Mountain was exploding when Arena happened.
There's another thing with the scrolls. Skyrim's going on the Switch.
Yes, it is.
Are you excited for that?
I guess I am excited. I'm excited for the idea of it. And to say that I'm excited for it, because I'm way too technical, and just saying I'm excited for it is just too simple of a way to express how I actually feel. I think it's a great thing. It's something I definitely want to get. I'm really glad that it is happening, but I'm not like, yeah, it's not going to be the first thing I buy. If I had a Switch, you know, I had one locked in, I was getting one, and I could pick one game, it would not be Skyrim on the Switch. However, it is on my list of games that I will eventually be getting my hands on, because I like I tend to prefer playing things, you know, like I said, on PC, because I like to be able to mod things and stuff like that. But being able to take something on the go, and just the ease of putting that on my TV screen, picking it up, taking it out with me, I think there's some real value in that. Even though Skyrim is an old game, a lot of people are like, oh, yay, they're getting a port from, you know, what was it, a 2011, I believe? Yeah, 11/11/11. Wasn't that the release date?
Yes.
Yes.
Because there was also a movie that came out that day.
Yeah, so
11/11.
So a lot of people are, you know, they're saying, yay, the Switch is getting a super old port. That's going to bomb. But I'm thinking, I'm like, there is some added value to being able to take Skyrim with you on the go. And I think that's a really cool thing that I'm looking forward to.
No. Now, Xbox One, you can get Skyrim and mods. And there's some mods for the PlayStation. Yeah. I'm wondering if the Switch is going to support mod support.
That would be interesting. I'm not too sure. My initial, we'll say, knee-jerk reaction is to say no. Nintendo, they like locking things down. But there was an interview with Reggie. I think it was done by Pro Jared. I'm trying to remember. I could be wrong on that, but Reggie did state that you know, with the Wii U, they dropped the ball. They didn't give developers and third parties what they needed to succeed, what they wanted and expected from a platform, and that they feel that they are putting the systems in place to be able to give that to these third parties so that they can monetize things the way they want and they can do things they want. So I'd say that, you know, initially I would have said no, but I'm not going to say yes that they will. I'm just going to say that, you know, it's possible that maybe Nintendo has learned a little bit and they're giving a little bit more freedom to third parties. And I think that if that is true, then it would ultimately be up to Bethesda if they feel that it is worth it to them to go ahead and put that functionality into the game.
What about Dragon Quest?
Dragon Quest, you know, that's a series I have struggled to get into. I own the original Dragon Warrior for the NES, which is technically it's Dragon Quest 1. And I've got, I believe, was it 11 or 9 for my DS or something. I'm not terribly excited about this just because I don't have that history with the series. From what little I've played of it, it was kind of cool, but I've never given it enough time to really be excited for it. Although I know a lot of people are rather excited because I believe the online only one isn't it coming to the Switch? I believe, was it Dragon Quest 10?
According to this Wikipedia article, Dragon Quest 10 and 11. But 10 is to be announced for everything, and then apparently Japan's the only one getting 11.
Okay, yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, a lot of Dragon Quest fans have been sort of wanting it localized or it brought over to the West. Maybe it'll make its way over. I know Nintendo said that the Switch would be. It was actually very, very clever and crafty the way they said this. They said that it would be region locked. Generally, there was. I don't remember if it generally was the actual word, but there was a qualifier on there, and I take that to mean that by default the system will be region locked. But you know, there may be some conditions. Maybe some third parties can choose to region lock their games. Maybe the eShops will be only accessible to particular regions, and if that is the case, then we might. You know, a lot of people who are wanting these Dragon Quest games might be a little bit disappointed because they'll find that game is not going to work with their North American Switches. But I'm speculating. Maybe I'm reading too much into things, but I do know I do know a thing or two about business, and Nintendo's done this enough where they'll say something, but they'll put a little word in there so that later down the line, you can't call them a liar because technically they told you. We'll see.
And what was it? Splatoon 2.
This here is
Shovel Knight.
Shovel Knight. I still have not yet played.
No, I've only heard about that. Like, I just learned about it like a couple weeks ago. But, Xenoblade 2.
Okay, let's just go.
I think I've heard you mention that before.
I could rant about everything you just said. Well, maybe not Shovel Knight. As far as indie goes, I've spent a lot of my time with, like, say, Shantae, so I haven't got around to Shovel Knight yet. I do plan on it. Maybe clarify for me, Shovel Knight, is it a new game or is it the old game coming to the Switch? Because if it's the old game, I'm just going to hold off and buy it for the Switch. But if it is a new one, then, well, I'll probably still get it. If it's as good as people say it is, I will probably get it. So, anyways, Splatoon 2. One of the biggest things about Splatoon 2 that's got me excited is, like I mentioned earlier, was that they're adding LAN. Because that's one of my concerns about Splatoon 1 I've got right now for the Wii U. I love the game. I think it's a ton of fun. And like we mentioned earlier, colorful smiling, that's for kids. And despite, we'll say the stigma around it, or a lot of people looking at that and going, oh, heck, I'm not going to play a kid's game. The game is really fun and it is really good. And I think that... if people give it a chance, it'll do even better. When we were talking about marketing. But anyways, I love the fact that it's got LAN because when the servers go down for the Wii one, that's more than half the game that will be completely inaccessible to me.
Yeah.
So the idea with Splatoon 2 that if I can have somebody else with a Switch or somebody else who wants to play the game, I can still play that multiplayer long after the servers are gone, because I'm a collector. I like keeping up my old stuff, and I hate it when things go obsolete. And that's one of the reasons why I hate online games and stuff, is because I feel like years down the road, I won't be able to, continue to enjoy my investment. But if there's LAN support, there's a possibility I'll always be able to find someone to play some Splatoon 2 with. So there's a lot of really cool stuff they showed off with Splatoon 2, and I'm actually really excited with that one and the way they're handling it. That's really exciting. Xenoblade 2, I would say my second favorite game of all time is Xenoblade Chronicles X, which was the game that came after the original Xenoblade. Not chronologically, it was apparently there's no tie-in. I would debate that, but not right now, not on this show.
Well, it's hard to debate something when I can't argue the opposite side.
Yeah, I'd be debating with hypothetical internet people. But anyways, Xenoblade... Oh, they don't? Okay. Yeah, screw you, hypothetical internet people. I'm wondering if someone's listening to this and going, am I hypothetical? Anyways, I love the Xenoblade series. Even the original Xenoblade Chronicles is one of my favorite games of all time. So, and I don't give those positions away very, very easily. And so when I saw it, I had some mixed feelings. I really hope it's not a direct sequel to the original Xenoblade Chronicles. The original Xenoblade Chronicles wrapped up so nicely, the story, everything just ended on such a perfect note that I feel like it would sully or it would mess things up to go ahead and make it as a direct continuation. If they treat it more like a Final Fantasy game, or maybe as a tangential, somewhat related, maybe same universe, but not like a direct sequel, then I'm totally on board for that. It's
well, according to Wikipedia, it's the sequel to X.
Yeah. It's the sequel to X.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at the game in release date chronology, it's Xenoblade X, and then Xenoblade 2. But Xenoblade 10, you should, from what I'm understanding, you should treat it more like Final Fantasy, where, each installment afterwards doesn't necessarily tie to the previous game. But I'm looking forward to it because the one, we'll say, defining trait of Xenoblade for me is giant, sprawling, open world gameplay. And I'm excited to explore whatever world they have, and I'm actually really surprised that they I believe the date they have set is 2017, so it's this year.
Yeah,
am I right?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of games coming out this year.
Yeah, and I'm just like, that's amazing that they've got that for this year as well. So in 1 year, I feel like Nintendo's got like a ton of great titles that are launching throughout the year. Some people are complaining about they should have these all at launch. It's going to be a Wii U thing again. They should have these games at launch to drive sales. And I actually just recorded a video. I mentioned this a little bit on it, but I'll say it again here. I think it's more important to create a steady stream of content than to just throw all the games out up front and then have like a year drought. you know, where they're not putting anything out. It's like if I were to, on my channel, you know, put out, you know, like 5 videos, you know, on the first, we'll say like on Monday, and then don't upload anything at all until like the next week. I've done that before in the past, where I've just had to get a lot of content out, and then I wasn't able to get anything up until the next week, and viewership suffers from that. Yeah. And I think that same kind of logic can apply here, is that you want people to be seeing all the stuff that's coming, and it's constantly coming, and that way there keeps their attention. And it's basic marketing, right? Nintendo is keeping people's attention by sort of staggering these releases. And when we get to the end of 2017, we'll be able to go, holy crap, look at all the cool games that came out this year.
Yeah, the new Legend of Zelda is coming out in March.
Yep, launch day. That's one thing that the Wii U did not have, was a really killer launch title. And the new Zelda, actually, some of the stuff I've seen for that game is, I went from going, this looks like a good game, I will get this, to, okay, I'm actually feeling some hype here. Like, I was watching the Treehouse thing where they had Mr. Aonuma, I hope I pronounced that name correctly, and Mr. Miyamoto there, and they were talking about the game, and he even mentioned, if you're wearing like metal armor, if you're wearing like iron armor and stuff like that, you're more likely to be struck by lightning in the middle of a storm. And I was like, holy crap, they're taking into account those little details. Like, they went into detail about, like, well, we need to make sure that the sound plays for the horse's hoof hitting the ground only when that hoof hits the ground. So the amount of detail they went into was like, the sound plays when the hoof hits the ground. It wasn't like some canned horse sound. It was like, no, the sound needs to be emitted precisely at this moment when this hoof goes here, so that the world feels believable. And so it's a lot of these little details, like, you know, if you're on fire and you run into grass, you're going to catch the grass on fire, and the fire can spread, and the rain can put out the fire. And it's just so many little details that I'm like, you know, this is how you do open world. This is cool. This has got some depth to it, and it looks kind of challenging, which, kind of going back to the Skyrim a little bit, I feel like there's a lot more depth here, and I'm a lot more excited for Zelda.
I've played one Zelda game in my entire life.
Which one?
I don't remember.
Do you remember what it looked like?
Stupid fairy was in it, and it annoyed me so much that I never played another Zelda game ever again.
Okay, what's Stupid Fairy? Describe the fairy to me.
Hey, listen!
Oh, Ocarina of Time!
I hated that thing so much.
My ringtone, right? Yeah. Yeah, Lost Woods. Yeah, you're thinking Ocarina of Time, which is funny because it's actually regarded by many to be like the best game in the series. I'd argue that, but it's still a very good game. So if you didn't like that one, actually, I can't say you might not like Breath of the Wild, because Breath of the Wild does seem like a vast departure from the regular Zelda formula. It seems almost closer to an Elder Scrolls game. I hate saying that because technically their inspiration was the original Zelda game, which was totally open world and you just went where you wanted kind of thing right from the start. But I guess we'll say a more contemporary example would be, it's closer to the Elder Scrolls than it is to Zelda, where you have your strict sort of dungeon progression. This one here is, if I'm remembering correctly what they said, you could even try to go ahead and fight the last boss right from the start of the game if you wanted. You're going to be way too weak to do it, and you're going to die, but that option is there for you. And that's not something that was there in previous Zeldas.
Whoa. I just read something on Wikipedia saying that the Switch is region free.
Yeah, that's what I was talking about earlier.
But it's not going to be backwards compatible at all.
Yeah, and I understand why that is from a technical standpoint.
Well,
it is.
You can't put a CD in a cartridge slot. It doesn't work.
Yeah, well, it goes a little bit further than that too. Like even the way the processor works, completely different instruction set because it's not using PowerPC. It's a completely different architecture, completely just different
you can make
everything.
It 2 terabyte.
Yeah, if you popped in a micro SD card.
Yeah, XC card.
Yes.
Never even heard of that. Oh, it's secure digital extended capacity.
Okay.
I always thought the SD stood for scan disk.
Nope.
That's what I thought it was. That it was just called a scan disc, like compact disc. We call it a CD.
Okay, yeah, I could see where it makes sense what you're saying. Well, actually, maybe it doesn't scan. Why would it be scan? I don't know. Anyways, whatever.
Well, digital scanning. I don't know. I just assumed it was scan disc. I'm not a tech guy. That's your end of this podcast.
Wait, job. Wait, are we getting paid?
We could.
Oh, okay.
Could. No. I need 29 more subscribers and then to Azrael Enterprise, and I can get the customized URL.
Oh, what's your subscriber count at?
I'm currently at 72.
So you have to get to what 100 before
100,
you get.
and I can get that, and then at 1,000, I can start making money off this.
Oh, is that you have to be at 1,000 before you can?
Yeah, before you can make any money off monetization.
Oh, okay. I actually totally got my subscribers by accident, so I didn't even pay attention to any of that. It was just one day I woke up and I'm like, oh wow, I have a lot of subscribers. Okay, cool. So I'm not really aware of what numbers you need to get to what level, or if that's even a new addition. Or I remember there was back in the day, there was a 15-minute limit on videos though, unless you meet certain criteria. But that's about all I remember.
No, that still happens.
Oh, that's still there?
You have to be monetized in order to upload more than 15 minutes.
That doesn't sound right because I was uploading. Well, maybe that's a recent change because when I first started uploading,
changing the user agreement and don't tell anybody.
Yeah, because I didn't monetize anything when I first started. I actually threw away a lot of money technically because I actually started creating Arma content right before DayZ came out. So that's actually, I think, where a lot of my growth came from. Was I was the one creating Arma 2 content, and people were like, all of a sudden started searching for Arma 2, and that's where they found my Warfare videos, and that's how things blew up. But I didn't monetize anything until I think it was the end of 2014. So I'd been doing it for a little while before I decided, you know what, let's try monetizing it. Why not? And even then, the pay sucks. Your
pay rate is higher than mine.
Yeah.
Adding both the channels together, your pay rate is still higher than mine. My other channel's only got 3 subscribers.
I don't know if I want to go down this rabbit hole. Because I was going to say, well, is it that they don't, we'll say, care about it, or is there another issue? Is it visibility? Is it the content in itself? I suppose it's kind of hard to gauge that if you've only got 3 subscribers and nobody gives you any feedback. So,
well, but when you have 3 subscribers, nobody ever sees it.
Yeah. That's what I was saying.
No
like
visibility on it because I'm competing with myself because I have 2 channels, and then I'm competing with you for views, and then we're both competing against PewDiePie and every other YouTuber.
Well, technically, because I feel that technically, I would say you're not competing with me. Yes, you're creating videos on YouTube, but you competing with me would be like a cooking show competing with a drama. They're 2 completely different audiences are going to be wanting to watch 2 completely different things. So technically, I would say you're not really competing with me because, you know, the content is very different. If someone wants to see your type of content, they're going to go to your channel. If they want to see my type of content, they're going to go see mine. And even going ahead and saying the comparison to PewDiePie, I feel that my content is quite a bit different than what PewDiePie does. So I guess there might be, I guess in a small kind of way, because people have limited time and if they have multiple interests, there is a bit of that competition thing. But for the most part, you know, I think it matters what you're creating. And I think a more accurate statement would be, you know, if you were to compare your channel and what you're doing to others who are doing the same thing with their channel.
I don't think anyone's doing anything like mine.
Then it could just be a visibility thing. You just have to find the people who want to see that content.
My channel is totally invisible.
That's I'd be I get scared about that too. I'm like, what would happen if I say lost my channel? I'm like, if I had to build things up from the ground up, I have no idea how I would get viewers, because I hate plugging myself. I hate being like, hey, come check out my stuff, because I don't know, it feels kind of spammy to me. If people do that to me, I tend to just ignore them. So I kind of take the same view that people are going to react the same way to me. Part of my problem is I'm bad at advertising for myself. I guess I'm just lucky that I was lucky.
Lucky. No, you got to be better at advertising, because I've been advertising throughout the entire video and you need to pick up on it.
Well, you mentioned Azrael Enterprise and Space Hopper actually a couple times. Even during the introduction.
Advertisement.
Yeah, even during the introduction, you said, I'm Brian from Azrael Enterprise. And see, look, I just plugged you.
Yeah.
I'm fine with plugging other people, but I don't know. I'm bad at that. I hate doing that. And that's my problem, because I went to school for business and stuff, so I know marketing and all this stuff, and I know I should be, but my personality is at odds with what I need to do. Where I'm just like, I am introverted. I don't want all this attention. I'm just kind of like, okay, I hope people like my stuff, but I also at the same time don't want to be like, come see my stuff, I'm so awesome, because that feels kind of like arrogant, and I don't know.
Well, you do have to sell yourself in order to get more views and become more popular on this format.
Yeah, it's a struggle. I'm always looking at it and kind of trying to see, well, I don't want to compromise who I am, but at the same time, I do realize that I need to do better at this. So I'm actually, I am definitely out of time. So if we're going to have any closing thoughts, want to wrap things up, do the plugs. I'll actually plug myself. Then we should get on that.
Yeah, well, we already just did my plugs.
All right, fine. we won't bother giving
them right in.
There we go. All right, then, well, if you want to find me, my address is... I'm not giving that over the internet. If you want to find me... No. You can find me at bluescreen.ca. That's basically everything related to me. Every link that you might want is on that site. So that's BLUSCREEN.ca. And you'll find links to my YouTube channel. There's my terribly non-updated and probably very terribly drawn comic, probably still sitting up on the front page. But if you go to the contact tab or contact section of the site, you'll find all my stuff, and you can go ahead there and see the stuff that I do, or the stuff that I show that I do, because I do all kinds of things. But yeah, come watch my stuff.
And you're also on Patreon. I
am on Patreon. There's a link to that on my site as well.
Which I did notice that at the bottom of how you have your listed patrons, one of them just says Derek.
Yes.
Is that your brother?
That is my brother.
Okay, I was wondering if that was.
I figured since he donated an entire computer to me, and he's helped me out with some things behind the scenes and stuff, I was like, you know what, he's a supporter. He, even though he's not, we'll say, donating on Patreon, he's donated a lot, we'll say, behind the scenes directly to me. So I'm putting that recognition in there. But even though he's got the same last name as me, no, I'll just put my name. Oh, okay. Anyone with half a brain will be able to figure it out.
Well, you don't want to give out too much information on the internet.
That's true. But it's too late for me. I've already put... that's basically it. I didn't want to, but then I realized, for copyright information and stuff, and I'm like, and eventually once you get to a certain size, people know who you are. It's going to happen. So I was just like, whatever. But I will say private life, I when it comes to other people, when I talk about other people, my family, friends, those people there, I totally censor out all their information because, it's not their choice to be here.
Yeah.
And even because the webcomic I do is kind of tangentially. It's kind of inspired a lot by, my real life. And even then, some of the names have been changed. You say so that they don't figure out the names. Like, for example, for my kid, I just take Disney princess names and I change up the name. Every so often I'll just change up what I call her in the comic because I'm not going to go ahead and use the real name. So,
and I wouldn't say it's badly drawn.
It's not to my standard. I look at this and I'm kind of like, I could have done so much better, but there's a lot of copy and paste. It's not. It's a part of that problem I mentioned with we're getting really weirdly. We've already basically ended the show, but whatever. I'll go ahead and share this. I tend to be like I alluded to earlier. I like things very orderly. This number comes after this number after this number. When you were talking about the albums, and kind of what it tends to happen is I tend to create formulas, and I like using those formulas, which is one, good for consistency, but very bad for, we'll say, necessarily for improvement, because it makes it's harder for me to try and push out and do new things. So like the comic, I've been wanting to go ahead and maybe change it up a little bit, change up the format, change the size of the comics and stuff like that. But I'm so scared of changing up my layout too much and not keeping the style consistent with those changes that it's like I'm scared to go ahead and do what I really want to do for the sake of consistency. So there's another, we'll say, flaw in my way of thinking.
Yeah, you do have to update this site though.
Yeah. It's definitely very out of date on like the content side. Yeah, there's other things I wanted to kind of make this sort of a catch-all site where because I like working on like music stuff too, and I wanted to kind of start putting more things on it, but time, right? So it's like, okay, right now my main priority, it does tend to be my YouTube channel, because one, I have patrons who are supporting that, and two, I am making, some very limited money from that. I'd like to eventually be able to, just sort of go ahead and do that. So I'm kind of treating it like a job, so that's why it tends to be my first priority, but there are a lot of other things I'd like to do and like to get up there. But anyways, I'm done and out of time, so we're going to have to end things here at this very moment. Who is editing this one?
Dun, dun, dun. Find out next episode.
We'll start the next episode and be like, all right, so who's going to be editing the last one? So, if you liked listening to us and you're still here and are not, being held there against your will, then it was a pleasure to have you. Yes, because otherwise we'd be talking just to ourselves, but imagining that there's a third person here.
Yeah, it was essentially to be like we're talking to Derek and Derek's not there.
Does anyone know who Derek is?
If they don't, it'll be a running gag for the entire series.
So they're like, who's Derek? It's this guy who we keep mentioning, but he's got no presence online, so you can't find him anywhere. So it's like, who's Derek? All right, so thanks for staying with us, and you have yourself a retroactive Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and then
Happy Boxer Day,
Boxing Day. Boxing Day. You said Boxer Day like a few times in the last podcast. I was like, no, Boxing Day. We're not celebrating bar boxers on that day, and I'm not even going to get into whether or not that's clothing or the athletes.
I was gonna say something else that goes along with it.
Yeah,
this is supposed to be PG-13. That goes into R.
So anyways, I've said so anyways like 4 times now. I'm going to just go ahead and say bye and game on and whatever other catchphrase I have. Yeah.
Yep. Time to go play some video games. Goodbye.